My name is Kemi Samuel. I am the mom of Twinsandenny. Twinsandenny is a combination of twins, Daniel and David, and Annie. Annie is the baby brother. So Twinsandenny. So basically, for people that may not know, what this platform does is, excuse me guys, just a minute.
Discover it's great outdoors.
Sorry about that. Okay. So what we basically do on this platform, on Twinsandenny platform, is basically parenting. We talk about parenting, we talk about raising children in a godly way. So it's basically how are we grooming our kids? How are we raising our kids? There's a lot of, in quotes, bad kids out there. And it's not really about the kids. You know, these kids come from certain homes. They have parents, they have guardians. And so when a kid is, in quotes, badly behaved outside, there's no how you're not tracing it to the parents. You know, be like, who raised you? What's going on at home? So it's very important that as parents, we take accountability. We take it serious. Raising our kids, we take it like, you know, very, very serious. It's not a child's play. I mean, I don't think it's fair to bring kids to the world and then, you know, we're not really taking it serious. And yes, I know we have to make money, we have to go and work, we have to do this and that. But it's very important that, you know, we are mindful of raising our kids, you know, the right way. We call them the leaders of tomorrow. They are our future. So basically, they are like our legacy. And so what are we doing to raise them right? How are we bringing them up the right way? And I know that, like, our topic today is gentle parenting. So how practical and how sustainable is this gentle parenting? Gentle parenting is a thing these days. I hear gentle parenting. I've seen so many memes, skits, and all of that. And it's like kind of different from the traditional way we were brought up. It's not the same way. So gentle parenting kind of talks about, oh, our guest is here, yay! So gentle parenting kind of, it talks about how it's another method, it's another, I'll say it's a new way, so to say, it's a new way these days of raising kids in such a positive manner. So we are reinforcing good characters, we are reinforcing good habits, we are reinforcing, you know, discipline, but maybe not in the traditional, very harsh way. We know these days, child abuse is a word that is like thrown around very easily. You know, when you whoop your child, especially in the Western world, and it's also, you know, even in like our own like African countries and all, it's also fast gaining ground that when you beat your child, they say it's child abuse. So what do I do? How do I raise my child in such a way that, you know, I'm not too harsh, I'm not abusing this child. At the same time, I'm able to enforce, I'm able to instill discipline into my child. So basically that's what we'll be discussing today with our positive parenting coach. I'm trying to bring her in. So can you see my invite already? I already invited you. All right. Yes.
Good
Thank you so much.
evening from there.
Good evening. Well, good morning from here.
Yes.
Good evening on the side of the world. Thank you so much for being here. I'm
Thank
very
you
glad
for
to have
having
you.
me.
Yeah, on this platform. I'll
Thank
give
you.
a brief introduction of you before you came on.
Thank
I'm
you.
saying you are a positive parenting coach. You have a platform, you know, educating parents and also children. And I think like our platforms kind of align because that's basically, you know, what we do too. But I specifically wanted to bring you in so that you can talk to our audience on a more professional level. So we're talking about gentle parenting, and I was saying that a lot of parents struggle with this gentle parenting because it feels like it's a new thing these days. I inclusive, I struggle with gentle parenting because I'm a very strict mom. I could be very strict, you know, when I want to. And sometimes it feels like this gentle parenting thing is not working. These kids are not listening. It's like I need to whoop you or slap you or yell at you to get you to do what I want you to do. But I know that these days it's becoming like faulty. That's where we were raised. And consciously or unconsciously, we're passing it on to our children. And you know, most times this kind of cycle is really hard to break because this is how I was brought up. This is what I've known all my life. So even if I think, oh, it's not right. And one thing is, a lot of times, you know, when we're younger, we vow never to do this to our kids. When our parents hurt us in a certain way, we're like, I'm never going to treat my child this way. But before you know it, you're already doing it and you're even justifying it. So I think a lot of parents are struggling. I've seen a lot of skits, a lot of memes on these gentle parenting things. So I really want you to help us, you know, shed more light on it. How practical is it? Is it real? Is it practical? And when I say is it practical, okay, yeah, I can start out, but along the line, I'm like, no, this just for anything isn't working. I'm just going to revert to the traditional method. So is it practical? And then is it sustainable? Can I, if I say, well, I want to switch from the traditional method of parenting, how long can I really do this gentle parenting? So we have like a list of questions. And if you guys have any questions, thank you for joining in. Please invite your friends, share, and like, if you have any questions, please put in the chat section and then in the comment section, and we'll get to it. But meanwhile, we have our own questions. So we have our guest once again. She's Mrs. Sandra Oluwadari, and she's a positive parenting coach. And our platform is Winning in Parenting. I want to win in parenting, definitely, and I'm sure we all want to.
Yes,
we all
yes,
want
yes.
to put our best foot forward. Yeah.
Yes,
So
thank you.
you're welcome. I don't know if you
Thank
have
you so much
anything
for
to say
having
before we
me.
get into the questions.
Okay, thank you so much for having me, ma'am. And thanks to everyone that has taken time out to be with us here today. I always love to celebrate parents who go the extra mile to, you know, just get information, act on this information so that at the end of the day, we are contributing our own quota to raising children who will definitely fulfill their destiny in grand style, children who would live a purpose-driven life. And because the family is the production center of the society, it's
right.
It's a unit where everyone should be focusing on, because the state of the family will determine the state of the nation. The state of the family will determine the state of the society. If we are not, if we're not conscious of the kind of people we are churning out of the family unit, then it means we are not really conscious of the kind of society or the quality of life we want to have. So I celebrate you all for being here, and thank you once again, ma'am, for having me. Great job you are doing. Well done. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so this topic of gentle parenting can be controversial because, you know, people are like, no, this I can't be doing gentility or forming gentility with these children and all of that. You know, I need to whoop them. I need to make them know that I'm the one in charge. You know, they need to understand what's up and all of that.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we're not just looking at raising children who will become adults tomorrow. What is the quality of life these children are going to live? And how are they going to impact the world? Is it positive or negative? Because for anyone who is being innovative today, for anyone who is making the news, who is in the news for some positive reasons today, that person came from a home. And for everyone or anyone who is causing mayhem today, that person also came from a home. Absolutely. Yeah. And the thing is, we are really quick to blame the children. Oh, this child is not well brought up. This child did not hear what when they were trying to teach the child. But we forget that every child is a product of a particular kind of programming. I mean, how did the child get to the point where the child know they hear what? I mean, that child was with you for how many years? Yeah. That child came to you as a child, tabula rasa, nothing written. You had that child to program. Yeah, you had that child to program for a couple of years. I mean, after a particular number of years, whatever you see with your child is your report card. Whatever you see with your child, you are either enjoying the fruits of your labor or you are doing damage control. So the case of gentle parenting is not one that we should just share to say, oh, this one is too slow, it's not working. We don't just want to raise children who become mere adults tomorrow. We want to raise well-rounded children who know what they're doing. For example, we all love obedient children. We just don't want to raise obedient children. Obedient to do what? So if a pedophile, for example, is saying, obey me, follow me, sit on my lap, do we expect that child to obey that pedophile? Obedience, right. Yeah, so we need to raise children who know what they are doing, children who are well-rounded and all of that. And that's why the topic of gentle parenting is very important, because if you are meting out all the kind of punishments you feel like meting out on the child, you just want to satisfy yourself. That child has provoked you and you just want to exhale. You just want to let the child know that, you know what, I am really angry with you because of what you did. And hence, so at the end of the day, at the end of your emotional venting, if I can put it that way, what have you achieved? How has your process of venting helped to redirect that child's behavior from what you are scolding him for to what you want that behavior to look like? So at the end of the day, we need to look at what our goals really are. What kind of child do you want to raise? What is your vision as a parent? Are you visionary as a parent? Because if you do not even have a vision, you will go with the flow. If it's anything, any style that gives you what you want at that moment is what you're going to engage in. For example, if this child provokes me and I'm so upset and I just come and I give him a knock on my head, yeah, that's the typical style. I will feel better. Like, yes, I have shown you. How dare you? Do you understand? You realize that you are the one feeling better. Whooping that child is not really giving you the results you want. Do you
Right.
understand? So we need to move away from the point where we're looking at ourselves, right, to the point where we're asking ourselves what that action is doing for the child. So we want to raise this kind of child. You want to raise a royalty, right? You want to raise a child who is assertive. But
Right.
because of your parenting style, you keep shutting the child down. Whenever the child asks questions, you want to shut the child down. And yet you want to raise an assertive child. Please, how is that parenting style helping the child move from where he is now
against
to
yourself.
assertiveness?
Right.
Do you understand?
Right.
So we need to understand that when we're talking about gentle parenting, we're not saying that you are weak or you don't know what you are doing or you can't flex your muscles and all of that. No, what we're saying is that we are focusing on the total well-being of the child. We're looking at other things that can help the child be the best he can be, because we are looking at the child's emotional well-being. We're looking at we're looking at showing the child some form of warmth. We're looking at empathy, respect. So even when you are disciplining the child knows your motive. The child knows that you're doing it from a place of love. But when you keep, being harsh with the child and all of that, the child knows that you just want me to be the child you want me to be. You just want me to be like your neighbor's child. When we go out, you just want me to behave well, so that they say, for your own personal
image.
Right, the child knows that you are not correcting. Exactly. He knows you're not correcting him so that he can be a better person. Do you understand? These children can see, exactly, they can see through us. They perceive all of these things, even if we don't verbalize them. So gentle parenting is that approach that takes into consideration your empathy, your respect, how you're able to nurture that child wrongly in your parent-child relationship. You are focusing on understanding and being able to meet the needs of the child. While you are doing that, you are also promoting the child's well-being. You are fostering a strong parent-child connection, because lots of parents wake up on a particular morning and they don't recognize their children anymore. They don't know their children anymore, even if they are in the same home. That's because they have been building walls upon walls upon walls in their relationship, just because you felt like getting that result immediately. You just wanted to show the child that, no, this is how to be a good child, and you whoop the child and you do this and that. No. Now, I love to ask parents, what kind of results do you want to have? Is it short-term or long-term? If you are focused on having short-term results, then you can go ahead, whoop the child as much as you want, yell at the child, be very harsh. Fine, you get your own results short-term. But don't forget that the goal of every parent who loves their children, is to raise children who will not need to recover from their childhood. Nobody wants to raise a child who will need to go to therapy to forget.
Traumatized.
Exactly.
Because of the parenting style of the parents.
Exactly. When other children are flying, they are basking in flying colors. When other children are busy innovating, then who wants to subject his own child to the therapy room? That is the time, profitable time or productive time child will use to do better things. That child will be unpacking trauma that could have been avoided. There is no perfect parent, but we can be better, right? We can have our end goal in mind. So you want to raise this kind of child. We are so focused on the kind of children we want to raise. I want to raise royalty, but we don't ask ourselves.
I don't know what's wrong with the net. Okay, yeah, I think we're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, I think a call was coming into my phone. Sorry about that. So, we want to raise this kind of child, but we're not asking ourselves what we need to do on our own part to be able to raise such children. I want to raise royalty. So, what do I need to do? Who do I need to become to raise a royal child? Do I still scream all over the place? You want to raise a honest child, but I am still lying, telling lies all over the place. I need to work on myself first. Yeah. Exactly. So for me, when I'm talking about gentle parenting, it's a holistic thing. It's a whole lot that we cannot even exhaust in a workshop, right? Who do you need to become to give your child that training or that guidance that the child really needs? So you realize that parenting is really about us and not the child, right? When we're talking about gentle parenting, it is very productive. A lot of parents think that, oh, it doesn't give results. It does, because in the long run, when the other parent is looking, even though you are seated with the child, the other parent is wondering, oh, what happened to this child? No, this is not the child I gave birth to. The other child, the other parent, on the other hand, is reaping her fruits. The other parent has a child who can communicate. The other parent has a child who would open up and say what he or she is going through, all right? Because the other parent failed to use the tools that were available when he or she was raising that child. So when we're talking about gentle parenting, we're talking about the kind of communication you're having with your child. Are you having violent communications with them? How do you talk to them? Do you know when it's your neighbor's children? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so when it's your neighbor's children, there's a particular way you speak to them. When it's your friend's children, there's a particular way you communicate with them in a gentle way.
But when it
Even
comes
if you're
to
going to
your
scold
own
them.
child,
Yes, but when it comes to your own child, with the two hands, you will lift the child with the ears, and you must hear what. You must hear what. Sometimes you even add in Jesus' name, you must hear what is saying. I mean, what kind of communication are you having with your child? Gentle parenting requires that you have non-violent communication with your children. It is the way you program them that will determine how they're going to live life. If you
right.
raise them as children that will not answer or children that will not hear you until you shout, then they'll keep waiting for you to shout
Now,
before they answer, right? Because, of course, when they came as babies, if we had programmed them that, okay, this is how you need to react when I'm speaking to you, that's how they're going to react, right? And I know that I'm not blaming any parents because I know that a lot of us are just beginning to unlearn and relearn, right?
yeah.
But the thing is, we must also be considerate with the children and understand that the bulk of the work really, really lies in our hands. All right. So, what kind of communication are you having with these children? If you're having violent communications with them, they will not come to you. You are just exactly, you're just pushing them away, and the time will come when you really need them. The time will come when they are teenagers, you want them to speak to you, you want them to tell you because you have built walls in your relationship. And then another thing about gentle parenting is that it takes into consideration the emotional regulation of the child. All right. So we're not just transferring aggression, we're not just keeping our own frustration, we're not just making the child see life through our own lenses because our emotions are all over the place. But we are giving these children the opportunity to understand how a regulated how a parent's regulated emotions can look like. All right. So even if your emotions are flying all over the place, you are upset and all of that, there's a way we can actually communicate these feelings to our children such that they see us and they are also able to learn from us. All right. That is also engaging in with your child that is not giving you the results you want is watery. You need to upgrade it because, I mean, after all the yelling and after all the whooping and after all the name calling, the shaming, and all of that, what result do you really have? You might be having short term results now, but in the next 5 years, is your child going to be speaking to you or would you have pushed him away because of your discipline style? Some people think that positive discipline doesn't work. It really works. It works.
So, but sorry, let me ask you a quick question, or let me act as advocate for the parents. So, like I was saying earlier, that a lot of us were raised that way, especially if you are from our side of the world, you know.
Yeah.
We're raised that way, and then we really do want to change. We want to improve. But you said something earlier that it's the way you have programmed your child. So if I'm the type that yells all the time, and now I'm trying to say, okay, let me not yell, let me, embody this gentle parenting, this positive parenting, let me tone it down. But my child is already used to the yelling part. And so when I'm trying to, like, okay, I'm working on myself, because I know this is the struggle of a lot of parents. A lot of parents really want to do better. But it just seems like, not that the yelling note too is working, like you just rightly said. I've been yelling, I've been shouting, and whooping, and all that. But this child does not hear one. Okay, let me try the other approach. But the child is already conditioned to yelling. So when you talk normally and say, oh, don't do this or do this, the child doesn't even take you serious because he's not used to you talking. I just say, oh, this is just playing. So so what I see parents struggle with is that you try, oh, I'm just holding myself. I know it's a mindset thing. It's a mindset. But how do we move from point A to point B without getting frustrated or without reverting to point B when it's not working? So when, okay, I'm not going to yell today, a lot of times, even while I was growing up, I remember my mom, when she's upset with me and she's not like yelling or scolding me, she'll be like, I made up my mind that today I'm not going to yell. I made up my mind that today I'm not going to beat you. But no, you just have to go there. Sincerely, I've told my kids the same thing too. Many times I've told myself, Holy Spirit, help me today. I'm not going to yell. I'm not going to be harsh. We're going to have a conversation, and things like that. But when you start trying that, like, Holy Spirit, please help me. These guys are pushing it. And you're just, and then before you know it, you're just like, is it because I've been quiet? Is it because I'm not yelling? And then you revert to it. So here is the struggle. How do we move from point A to point B? I know this isn't working. I want to do better. But I'm not just there. It's not just gelling. So what do I do? I know that there's a place for persistence because definitely everything in life takes persistence. You need to keep trying. But in the meantime, like you said, and I know a lot of us are focused on our image and not on the child. I just want my child to act right. I want my child to be presentable outside. I want him to be disciplined. I want man. While all that are good, is we are majorly focusing on ourselves. I don't want anybody to say, "Oh, my child is spoiled." So, underneath it is really about me. I don't want. I can't take you outside. You're going to embarrass me. I can't let you so that you will not disgrace me. It's always about me. So what is that gap of I've been so used to traditional parenting. I want to move to this gentle parenting. How do I move from point A to point B without maybe getting so frustrated along the line or not even frustrating my kid?
Okay, beautiful question. Thank you. So, yeah, I mean, if you have a program that is already installed, or if you have like a software that is installed and it's giving you challenges and all of that, or maybe there's a virus in your computer, no matter how much you try, like this thing doesn't go away and it's affecting your work. You just get to the point where you sit down and you're like, you know what, today I'm going to deal with this virus. Antivirus, where are you? Get out of my system. Do you understand?
Right.
So the thing is, until you uninstall what is not working, things are going to remain the same way. So even if it looks like we have gone far in the traditional style of parenting, it's not as if you need to rule out or strike out everything about traditional style. There are some things that you can still, based on the needs of your child, that you can still put together, even with the gentle parenting, to give you the results you want. But of course, we know that there are so many things in that traditional parenting style that needs to be tweaked, especially because the world is evolving today. Right. So I would say the first thing is to sit and have a conversation with yourself. You just need to ask yourself this question sincerely. What kind of results do I want to have? Short-term or long-term? Your short-term results, you will have them. It will work for you. But you have to also look at the other side. Long-term, how is it going to impact this child, many years to come? This child, before you know it, the child is 5 years today. In a few years, that child is going to be ready to start a family. Is he going to repeat the same cycle because of the kind of programming that child has received? So you need to have these deep conversations with yourself to know what you really want, to understand the kind of child you want to put out there. Do you want to raise a superstar? Or do you want to raise somebody who will be in the backyard? Somebody that you will not be proud of showcasing? All right. Every child has been sent here by God with loads of assignments in them. The way we raise them will determine if they're going to fulfill their destiny or not. These are the questions we need to ask ourselves, right? With the kind of parenting style I'm engaging today or I'm deploying today, will I get results? If you're able to answer those questions, honestly, write it down, document it. Don't leave it in your head. Document it, then you go to the next phase. What are my goals? What goals do I want to achieve? I love the royalty, right? So I'm going to use it as an example again. I want this child to understand that he's royalty. That's one of my goals. But you keep treating the child in a way that will not deliver that goal. It won't deliver that result. So I'm going to put it down. This is one of my major goals for this child. Will all this beating and all of that deliver this result? Yes or no? I document it. And then I need to reflect on where I am right now. I know that, okay, I have programmed these children to only get up when I'm talking to them after I've shouted the 7th time. I've programmed them to back talk. I've programmed them not to ask before they take things and all of that. Okay, so this is the point where this parent is now. What can this parent do? What can I do? You reflect on your current parenting approach. And so that, because most of these things, when you impose it on parents, they might not really see it. So it's a conversation they need to have with themselves so that they can see where they are at, so that they can see if what they are doing will give them the results they want, so that it's a knowing you now have and say, you know what, girl, you need to get back to the drawing board. This is what you are doing. You are just massaging your ego. In the next 5 years, you will pay for what you are doing. So when the parent realizes that I'm heading for damage control, I better pay the price now, because give or take, you pay the price, whether now or later, right? And so you know that, okay, the point I'm at now is a point where I know that my scorecard is not really okay. Now, the next thing I want to do is find out how to get better. I want to educate myself. I want to skill up. We focus a lot on other areas of our lives. We even go to Bible school. We want to switch to tech. We take all the classes and everything. Please, how much
all the certifications.
The parents that are listening to me right now on this call, and the parents that watch the replay, please, how much have we budgeted for parenting this year? What is your parenting budget? I'm not even talking about your children's budget, your own. How much have you spent upgrading your parenting style this year? Parents. Exactly. But we can afford to go for, oh, I want to be a master communicator. I want to know how to speak. We pay for all of those things. So when that parent has already had that conversation with him or his or herself, and the parent says, okay, I need to upgrade. Yeah, then look out for the things, for the areas where you need to upgrade, and begin to take those classes, begin to learn. And when you begin the journey, you have to be held accountable, because any form of growth process that you're in, that nobody's holding you accountable, is like, to me, it's like I'm deceiving myself.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So
Absolutely.
if once you are on that journey, you call your children, tell them that sometimes we treat them like they are not our mini-me's. They have their own identity.
Yeah.
Sometimes we treat them like as if the Holy Spirit in us is older than the one in children. We treat them as if, no, they are second class. No, they understand these things. Call them, baby. I just realized that I've been getting it wrong. You know what? Mommy just got into a program. I have made mistakes. This is me being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I need you to hold me accountable. I have been yelling. I have been doing this and that. I have not been mindfully present as a parent. Oh my God, I'm making a change. Can you hold me accountable? This is how I've been speaking to you. I need to change. It's not empowering you in any way. Be vulnerable with them. Tell them that you are gotten into a program. Tell them that even if you are not in any program, tell them you are ready to change. That you don't.
Sincerely, at this point, I wanted to say African parents left the group chat.
They left. They left. They left.
Because I think it's a lot of that, and it takes a lot of vulnerability, like you said. But we actually need to, how important is this to me? How important is raising my child right? How important is it to me? Am I ready to let go of my ego, my pride? And we like to present ourselves as we know it all. Oh, I'm so right. I'm the parent, and you can never know as much as me. Exactly. So we need to, I completely agree. We need to get to the point and say, okay, what matters more to me? Is it my ego? Is it my wanting to claim that I'm being right? Or do I take this assignment so serious that I'm willing to, let go of my ego, and all of that?
Yeah.
Before you continue, my mom joined this chat just shortly after I mentioned her name. I just saw it. So thank God I talked about her before she joined it.
Oh, welcome, mommy.
Yeah, welcome, mommy. I love you. Like, there's no way I'm going to talk about this topic. I'm not going to mention my mom. I think my dad is a gentle parent. Is a more of the gentle parenting type. I don't know, because I think he's conscious of gentle parenting. I think just because that's his nature. And I think it happens like that in every family. There's the stricter parents, there's the, so they balance each other out.
Yeah.
But sincerely, you mentioned something the other time about we cannot throw away everything about traditional parenting. Definitely. I completely agree with that, because there are some things you look at and I'm like, thank God my mom, disciplined me in this way. Thank God my mom showed me the way here. Thank God that my mom instilled these things, into me. Because there are some things you see some people that are like, you can't be my mother's child and do this. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm proud that my mom, my parents raised me this way, but balancing it, showing the way we are adopting,
exactly. The new. Very important, because we need to understand the kind of children we're raising today. Like you talked about parental ego and all of that, which is one of the reasons why parents are not vulnerable. I'm not saying tell them your life history or, everything, but let them also see that you are making efforts. Every child, they see us, their parents, as their superheroes and all of that, but being able to apologize when we know that we slipped, being able to say, oh, I'm working on this area, we're modeling something to them. We're letting them know that learning is an ongoing process. We're letting them know that we also have a love for learning. We're also letting them know that, you can correct me, all right? You can hold me accountable, especially for parents, for example, who have been yelling and they want to stop. By the time you tell your child that, okay, so I'm trying to stop yelling, whenever you see that anger is already welling up inside of you, whenever it looks like mom is going to explode, you can just give me a code or do a sign. You can just do like this, and I'll just know that, hey, I'm crossing the boundary.
You actually adopted that method. I'm like, just tell me when I'm going off, when I'm not supposed to.
Do you understand?
And I don't listen at that point, but it helps me improve gradually. The next time, so there's constant.
Exactly, very important. And today we find lots of parents sitting down in their own world, legs crossed, arms crossed, waiting for the child to come and connect with you. How? That is not gentle parenting. You need to leave your pedestal. You need to come down from that pedestal. We need to leave that parent ego stage or phase and come to the child's level. Let them know that you are coming to enter their world. When they see that you're coming to enter their world, they will communicate with you. They will tell you. They will tell you that it's like, there's something I love to tell parents to do, like have a day in your home where everybody can talk freely. Like it's accountability day or whatever you want to call it. Let
Yeah.
my 2-year-old call me to order. Let my 2-year-old say, mom, the way you talk when you are hungry, I don't understand. I don't like it. Like it can be a very funny, it can be a very funny day, but let everybody express themselves. Because I mean, how are you raising a child without a feedback system? So you are just talking, you are just giving instructions, do this, do that. You're not getting any feedback. You don't know if they are misconstruing the information you are giving to them and all of that. You are just there as the lion of your home and everything, sitting down on your throne, and you want these children to communicate with you. No, they're going to go and look for people who are cooler than you. So you need to calm down, enter into their world so that there can be a connection, so there can be a relationship, a communication. It's not about paying school fees or paying for a good home or paying the bills or whatever it is. No, anybody can do that. Yeah, anybody can pay the bills, anybody can pay school fees, anybody can feed a child, right? But when we're talking about a parent-child relationship, we're talking about a balanced relationship where there is warmth, there's care, there's fairness, there are boundaries, and there are routines. Everybody knows what to do, and the relationship is intact. All right. Mama says we're doing that when the children were at home during the Christmas holidays. Beautiful, beautiful.
That was one thing we grew up with, and that I like passed on to my present, home. There was just the day that we will all sit down, and by the way, I have 5 siblings, so we're a pretty large family, 8 of us. So everybody will go around. So if I'm talking about 7 other people. I'm talking about my dad, my mom. So we address each person individually. You, this is what you do that I don't like. You, this is what you do that I don't like. And everybody will. So it was like a 2-3 hour sit in, and everybody will say what another person, the things you like about the person. So it's not really about bringing each other down alone. Or these are the things you do like, the things you do that upset me. This, and then we go around like that, and everybody. And so it was like a review of the year, kind of. So what happened during the year. And so, but now I'm even thinking of doing it more frequently, because things have changed.
Yes, we need to do it more frequently. So that
do I do that you don't like? And even you as a child, it's an opportunity for me to also tell you, okay, these are things you do. And I see that it also helps the children. So even as against yelling all the time and all that, because I tell you that you do this, and I corrected you several times, but you keep on doing it. And it upsets me as well. And so sometimes, and it's not an excuse, but it also triggers me when I'm working. And sometimes, like you said, there's some information that's have been misconstrued. So I am able to hear the intention of what a child is going through, what is making it. It's one of the twins. I always feel like he's just so defiant. That why do you feel I'm just going to do it and nothing is going to happen? So but communication helps you understand. Oh, this was what was going on at the back of his mind. Even though his actions are coming out the way, but that was not his intention. And it also helps the children to understand. Oh, this is where my parents are coming from, and then it helps us everybody to be a little bit more conscious of the things that I said you do. I don't want to do it again. I want to be a version of myself. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you guys
very
for joining.
Important. Very important. Yeah, mommy says it made me understand my children better. Yeah, that's what it does, because one of the things that will help every parent in this dispensation is a solid connection with your child. Once you have a solid, and that's where gentle parenting comes in. Once you have a solid connection with your child, you have built that parent-child relationship on a solid foundation, right? Because they are not going to see you as a boss. Even though you have a friendly relationship with them, they know the boundaries, but you might not necessarily come down, to overstep boundaries. Okay, because I want to be your friend and all of that. Yeah, you can be friendly with them, but you know your place, all right? So they don't undermine your authority and all of that. But you see that connection. It is what every parent have to nurture if they want to, have their children in their corner in this dispensation. Right. Because there are lots of villages out there. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Please intentionally curate your village. Because if you don't intentionally curate your village, there are cooler villages out there that are ready to help you train your child. That connection you refuse to give that child or nurture with that child. There are people, there are influences, there are vices, systems out there waiting to welcome that child. So like I said, nobody wants to begin to do damage control. So it is better
be right and doing greater
things. Exactly. So it's better we count the cost now. Now or later, you will reap what you sow. You will have your report card. So you pay the price now, exactly, or later. All right. So that's one thing. Then I was answering the question about switching from traditional to gentle parenting. Another thing which is very important that you need to do is, take it one step at a time. I mean, you've been doing it the other way. You don't need to beat yourself up. No, children don't need a perfect parent. Right. God is not the author of confusion. If he gave you that child, he knew you could do a good job. If you are not doing a good job, maybe because something has gone wrong, or you've not been aware enough to know how to manage or understand your child. Because every parent needs to study their children. Like child 101, you need to study your child like a book so that you understand the kind of seed you have, because every child is a seed. If you plant tomato where beans is supposed to grow, you just be there saying, oh, this child is stubborn, this child is frustrating these parents. Meanwhile, you don't even know the right atmospheric conditions to plant your child in.
Compare.
Exactly. You begin to compare.
The duality of your children. You compare one. Your brother is even twins. Even for me,
they are different.
Yeah.
Exactly. You just begin to compare them.
They have different personalities.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So it's important that we study our children to know who they are, to know the kind of school you put them in, to know the kind of things you expose them to. You can't scold two siblings the same way. One might be a sensitive child. The other one, you can even scold him, make jest of him, he doesn't care. But if you try it with another one, you have demoralized that child. That's why it's very important to have one-on-one time with each child. So even if you have 4 children, after you spend time with 4 of them, it's good that you create time, even if it is 10 minutes or 15 minutes, spend with each of those 4 children so that you know the kind of children you are dealing with. You can have the same parenting strategy, but you have to have different approaches, when dealing with each of your children. All right. So you need to take little steps. Don't say, oh, I want to switch from traditional style parenting to gentle parenting. I'm overhauling, doing a major overhaul. No, you just get your fingers burnt. Take it one step at a time. Your children don't need a perfect parent. Like I said earlier, God is not an author of confusion. God is not wicked. How could he have given you a child that will trouble you? Do you understand? So if he gave you that child, he knows you can do a good job if you work on yourself, if you do what you have to do, right? So you just need to take little steps. So I don't want to be yelling again. That's the goal. Let me break it down into steps. First, I need to take a class. Second, I need to have my children hold me accountable. Third, I need to learn how to also manage my emotions. So I need to take a class of emotions regulation or emotional intelligence, so that when those emotions are all over the place, I know how to regulate myself. I need to also learn how to understand my triggers. So you work in little bits, and at the end of the day, you realize that you are yelling a lot lesser than how you used to yell before. It will not happen like magic. You are still going to yell. You will still sleep. Even when you have made an oath, you have said everything, you are afraid that this morning I will not yell. Sorry, before 10 a.m. you will have crashed. So it's a process. So if you have decided that you want to switch to the gentle parenting style and all of that, just make that decision and break your goals down into smaller steps, and just have someone or your kids hold you accountable, because in the end, we will have our report card. So let me stop there so you can ask your next question. I know you have lots of questions.
No, seriously, you addressed most of it. If I addressed most of it, there just one question popped up while you were talking, which I also know that it's a lot of controversy around it. Around the saying, some school of thought to say, oh, make your child your friend. They're like, my child is my friend. Make them your friend. It's still part of this positive or gentle parenting, as we put it, that let your child be your friend so they can confide in you. So that another school of thought to say, my child is my child. My child is not my friend. I could be friendly with you, but you're not my friend. Oh no, I like to make my child my friend. If he sees me or if she sees me as a friend, she comes to me just the way she can go to her friend if we are apart. So where do we strike a balance between making my child my friend, or okay, I'm the parent and I'm the parent, we are not friends? Let me ask 2 questions. I think those are the only 2 questions I'll ask because our time is almost up. So the second I'll ask is that where do we draw the line? I don't know how to put this question. How do we put a boundary? Like, okay, this gentle parenting. I wanted to ask what are the components, but I think you've mentioned on it, along the line. So, but where is the boundary? Because the way it's perceived, if I say I'm gentle parenting, I'm very cool with you, we're friends, I still discipline you, So, but where do I don't say, where do I introduce harshness? Do we get to a point where I'm okay, I need to take this discipline a notch higher? Or do I just say, let me just keep it moving and just hoping that, oh, this child comes around? Or is there a boundary where you say, okay, I need to step up a little? So 2 questions. Are my children my friends? Should I become their friends? The difference between I'm their friends or I'm just friendly with them and their parents, because I've seen this being argued over and over again that no, my children are my friends, this is that, and then the other group is saying, no, you are not my friends, I'm your parents, you're my children, and then this positive parenting, gentle parenting, does it get to a point where you say, okay, I think I need to change my method up, Yeah, those are the 2 questions. Those will be the final 2.
Okay, thank you. So I think I would say it borders on your discretion. For me, that controversy is really, I don't want to say it's trending. So yeah, you're right. A lot of people talk about it oh, my child is not my friend, my child is my friend, and all that. But I think discretion matters here, because when we're talking about gentle parenting. We're talking about a parenting style that takes into consideration the emotional state of the child, right? The balance you're able to create while you're trying to discharge your duties as a parent, and how you're also able to show the child some form of warmth. All right. So I think that the parents should understand their boundaries. So if I'm going to have, if I'm going to nurture a proper connection with my child, there's no way I'm not going to be friendly with my child. I mean, if I say you are my friend, there's a level of closeness we can have. So
Right.
even if I don't see you every day, at least we can talk over the phone, we can
Right.
pray together, we can brainstorm together, we can collaborate, we can do things, right? So there's,
Right.
there's a state we need to get to in our relationship for me to say, oh, I'm your friend. So a parent, you can't stay in point A. You can't be at point A and your child is at point X, and you are insisting and saying, no, my child is my child, I'm not my child's friend, and all of that. You would need to use your discretion to discharge your duties. It's a thin line, actually. You need to be friendly with your child. You need to be open. You need to be vulnerable, right? You need to let your child understand that I am leaving my world, my pedestal as a parent, and I'm coming into your world. I want to know what's going on. I really want to understand your challenges, your pain, or whatever. Like, I want to bond with you. I want to play with you, right? But in the process of doing all of that, I do it in such a way that the child also knows that I can snap back to my shoes as a parent, right? So it's a thin line. I cannot say that my child is not my friend, okay? Because how would you nurture a relationship, a blissful relationship, if the child is not your friend? Maybe it's our use of words, right? Because if I say I'm friendly with my child, it means the child is my friend. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I am going to use my discretion to make the child understand that
Yeah.
I am being friendly with you. I am your friend, but this is where you cross the line, right? This is how you can speak to me. It depends on your own values as a parent. It depends on what matters to you, because everybody has their own reality, right? For some people, they'll say, okay, even though I'm your mom, you can call me Sandra. Do you understand? But I will not ask my child to call, even though we relate. Don't call me Sandra. I'm your mom. Do you understand? So everybody has their own reality. Apply it to your own reality. But what I'll say is, if you want to nurture that connection with your child, you have to be friendly with the child. The child has to be your friend. It is left for you to use your discretion. It is left for you to draw the boundaries, to lay down the boundaries. Because one of the reasons why children take advantage of parents and undermine their parents is because, one, no boundaries, two, no consistency. All right. So even before you get to that point where the child knows that, okay, I share this relationship with my mom or my dad, they already know the boundaries. They know what they cannot do. All right. So I think basically the first thing is for us to understand the importance of nurturing that cordial relationship with our children. Because if I'm not friendly with you, if I'm not your friend, if you are treating me as, I'm just treating you as my child, you are my parent and all that, how will I tell you? Yeah, how will I tell you that I have a crush on somebody as your child? How will I tell you? Even though I am able to tell you some things, there are some things I will still not tell you. But when the child knows that my parent knows how to switch, she knows how to get into her parents' shoes. She knows how to get into her friendly shoes. Do you understand? She knows how to come into my. Do you understand? So the work really lies on the parent. You should know where to draw the line. But we must not push our children away because we want to say, oh, my child is not my friend. No, we should be able to manage both sides of the relationship, right? And then the second question you asked was, what's the question again?
Like, where
do we draw the line? Yeah. How do we know that we need to? Exactly. So the thing is, when you are practicing or when you are deploying gentle parenting, it's a whole lot of things that have been put together. No matter how much of a gentle parent you are, I mean, the appropriate form of gentle parenting is even high on discipline. So that you are employing the gentle parenting style does not mean that you are weak. In fact, it means you are very firm. It doesn't mean you are permissive. It means that you know when to put your foot down. And if that is how you have been raising your children, they know what to expect. They know when they slam the door, they know what consequence awaits them. So really, you don't need to say, okay, like they're not hearing me clearly. I need to upgrade this discipline. So again, this also has to do with your discretion. You know, of course, when a child has done, because every child is different. You can discipline a child this way, and it will not matter to another child, right? So you know their pain points, you know their needs, right? You know, because every behavior is communication. If a child is behaving this way, he's trying to communicate a need, right? So you need to dig deep to understand why that child has behaved that way. In fact, that's a high form of discipline. Before you now rush and say, oh, I want to show you today that I will not be a gentle parent again, you need to first ask yourself, what is this behavior communicating? That's one of the highest form of services you can render to your child. What is this child trying to tell me? Now, when you understand the needs of that child, why has this child gone to take food from the fridge after feeding you? I've asked you over and over again not to do that, but you keep taking what you have not been given. Why is this happening? You think deep, you ask yourself that question, and then you ask the child, you talk to the child, and then you also begin to look for patterns, look for dots that you can connect. That itself is discipline, right? You are looking for ways to help the child, not just to make the child pay for that misbehavior. Do you understand? So this thing happens in levels. So to me, it's the discretion of the parent that will come to play. And that's why parents need to scale up. Parents need to learn, because if you don't know these things, you will just be in your own realm. You will be in your own area. And you think that, oh, I think I need to discipline this child more. And meanwhile, you are leaving key areas unattended to. Do you understand? So I believe every parent has discretion. I believe we all have our intuition as parents, and we all have the Spirit of God, right? Do you understand?
Yes.
You have that nudge where you know that, okay, something is wrong with this child. All of these things need to come to play collaboratively so that we are giving our children the best form of discipline. So it's not really about us running to say, I need to add one more consequence to this thing, and all this child is taking me for granted and all that. And of course, as your children grow up, you need to tweak your boundaries, your consequences, and all of that. So, for example, if you have 5-year-olds and you have said, exactly, if you have said for your 5-year-olds, you don't watch TV once it's 7 p.m., you can't have 9-year-olds, you can't have 15-year-olds, and you're still sending them to bed at 6 p.m. Do you understand? As they grow up, you need to upgrade and all of that. So, once you are able to upgrade, tweak your boundaries, your consequences, your discipline strategy, as your children are growing, on that particular level, when they do other things or when they misbehave, you really don't have to start adding more punishment or more consequences all the time, right?
This is about punishment, which is what I said it's not about the punishment, which is what we are more focused on at the end of the day. Consequence, without like knowing why is this child acting this way.
Because most times I realize that the reason why we are disciplining is because we want the child to pay for the misbehavior, and that is not the motive of discipline. Discipline is to change that child, move the child from point A to point B. But when the motive you have is to
punish,
pull his ears so that he will not do that again, you are just making the child pay for the behavior. So even if you want to pull the ears, that's your own reality, right? But you must first start from the reason why that child has done what he has done. You must then move on to, what am I doing that may have instigated this child to keep acting this way? What do I need to change in myself that can help this child to stop doing this? Now, this child always stays out late. This child doesn't like coming home after lessons or after school. Is it that I'm making the home unbearable? Do I need to change? Is the home is it too rocky for the child? Is the atmosphere too tense? Do you understand? Before you now begin to look for the next punishment you want to give the child, first look inwards. Are you doing your own part?
Yes.
Do you understand? So discipline is a whole dimension on its own that we cannot even exhaust. So really, it's all about discretion and your values. What are your values? What kind of child do you want to raise? Who do you need to become to be able to raise that child? So, for example, I want to be a tech. Okay, so let me say I want to be a pediatrician, right? And I studied microbiology, for example. I can't use my knowledge of microbiology to go and say I want to be a pediatrician. I need to learn. So, what classes do I need to take to qualify me as a pediatrician? So, who do I need to be to raise a royalty? Who do I need to be to raise a child who will not steal? Who do I need to be to raise a child who will be honest? Because we have people telling a lot of lies, and you want to raise a honest child. Now, when the child starts lying, you begin to beat the child. How? We are able to excuse ourselves from a lot of things, but we don't excuse our children. We don't give them that benefit of doubt. I'm not saying we should spoil our children, but when you are tired, you are like, oh honey, I'm so sorry I spoke to you that way because I was tired. I drove in traffic. But let your child speak to you that way. If you understand that
the child was frustrated or tired,
you will not
understand.
Your own is that come here. I will show you today that I'm your mother. How dare you talk to me like that? Do you understand? So we need to use our discretion, and our discretion really will be influenced by the kind of information we expose ourselves to as parents. So if you are if you are not exposed to certain things, that is the kind of discretion. Your discretion will be limited to what you are exposed to. Yes. So we need to expose ourselves to learning. We need to unlearn, relearn. We need to unpack a lot of disempowering beliefs that we have carried into parenting. That a child cannot question the parents. Yes, don't backtalk. Don't talk to me rudely, but you can question me. Yes, you can question me.
You are a whole human being on your own with brains.
Exactly. If I'm telling you, if I ask you to do this, feel free to ask me, mommy, why do I need to do this? But don't ask me rudely.
Right.
Because I don't want to raise a mediocre. I don't want to raise somebody, a child that will just be obediently following me. The child does not know what I'm doing. He's just following me up and down. Do you understand? We need to let go of those disempowering beliefs that you can't talk to your parents. It's either my way or the highway. You either do it my way or no. This generation of children we're raising, they will question you. They will question your beliefs. They will even question your God.
Yes,
You're asking them to, they will question everything. Yes. So you can't continue to shut them down. Give them the opportunity to ask and then be prepared to answer them. That is how we can raise children who will thrive in today's world. Because the world in which we were raised does not exist anymore. The world has evolved. The world has changed. Just take the strategies that will work from the traditional style and infuse it into what will work for you now. That is just it.
Wow. Wow. I have personally learned a lot. I hope everyone here has made it not well. Yeah,
thank you. I love what Mommy said. I love what Mommy said. She said children don't have to pay for their misbehaviors. They need to be helped.
It's like we make them pay. Oh, you did this, then this is it. So you have to pay. So yeah. And Anne says communication is key. Leaving that door of communication open. Very important. It should not become like I am mighty, like we were saying. Our children cannot even approach us, they cannot ask us questions, they are afraid, they cannot talk, they cannot speak their minds. But we want to raise smart kids, like you were saying. I want to raise a royal kid, I want to raise a smart kid, I want to raise an intelligent kid. But if this kid is expressing his opinions, I shut him down. I'm just ruining my own world. I listed so many questions, but they've all even been addressed and we went on and on. Like, well, there's no perfect parents. I tell my children that, see, you are children for the first time. I'm also a parent for the first time. So we are all learning this parenting children thing. We're all learning together. And what's important is if we are intentional about it, we want to keep learning. Like you say, we need to invest in parenting skills. I need to be a better parent. We need to be intentional. We need to go all out so that we can know that, I'm raising world changers. I'm raising world leaders. I'm raising children who can stand up for themselves. I'm raising children who are smart, who are actually brave, who are actually royals, and who are thriving. Like you said, they're not growing up, going from one therapy session to another one, and reliving traumas of childhood, living with their parents. A lot of people don't even know. They think they're the best parents ever. Meanwhile, their children are traumatized, just living with them. It's a lot. And like you said, it's not something we can unpack in one live session like this, but we've spent about 1 hour and it's really, 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 I will save it. I'll save it. It's really, Mom says, I agree with you. Thank you, ladies. I'm blessed. Thank you, everyone, for joining. It was really, really an enlightening session. It was eye-opening, mind-blowing, and we'll save the live and we'll post the replay. Thank you so much, Mrs. Sandra, for winning in parenting. I definitely want to win. Winning in parenting, and like I said before, she's a positive parenting coach. So you want to develop yourself. She's the right person, definitely. That you can reach out to. And
thank you so much.
But,
thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming. It's really a pleasure having you here. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
To our parents, to our audience, thank you so much for staying with us. Thank you, Mommy, for being here. Thank you. My husband is here too. Thank you. Thank you, sweetheart, for being here.
Thank you for being here. We appreciate you all, and we pray that God will help us in this parenting journey. Okay, so we come to the end, come to the end of this life. Thank you, everyone. Wish you joy. Thank you so much, ST. Thank you so much. Wish you enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, bye, guys.
Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you.